Good evening. My name is Katrina Messenger, and welcome to Connect DC's Dark Moon Message. Connect DC has been around a while. We're celebrating the 21st year. I started Connect DC back in 1999 with what we called the original working, where we went around to the four corners of the city and blessed the what I call the city's standing stones. Those stones were placed in 1790, 1791, and they represent the original boundaries of what they had hoped to be the gleaming, beautiful city on the crossroads. And one of the things that happened with Connect DC is we went around to those boundary stones and we reconnected them, because the portion of the city was taken back by Virginia. We operate with less than what had been the founder's dream for the city. And so we went back and blessed all of those stones and declared the entire city a sacred space. So here we go. As the election is coming forward, Angela Raincatcher, who does the full moon, and I, who focus on the dark moon, we decided that we needed to do something in preparation for whatever is coming with the national elections. Many of us are filled with anxiety and nervousness and apprehension, as well as hope and anticipation. It's a strange place to be. And so I mentioned to Angela that I had written a meditation that was published in, I think, 2016, 2017 by Natalie Zayman, where the meditation was about the city being cleansed of toxicity and corruption. And I think that, I thought that it would be really good if we could focus the three moons series toward conducting that meditation to bring healing to this tortured city. So many in the country forget that this is a working metropolitan city and that we have people who live here, work here, pray here, raise holy hell here, and do magic. And that when they complain about Washington, they're condemning us citizens to the fates of the federal government, which lives here. So Connect DC has already done the work of giving the city good boundaries. And so now I think in heading up to this election, what we need to do is clear the city out. And so I'm going to go to that meditation that I wrote. It's published in a book called Magical Destinations of the Northeast by Natalie Zayman. And it covers the states of Maine, Vermont, New Hampshire, Massachusetts, Rhode Island, Connecticut, Maryland, Delaware, Pennsylvania, New Jersey, and New York, plus the District of Columbia. And to cover these places, she recruited magical practitioners in each of those areas. So I was her selection for DC. That's pretty nice. But she picked Caroline Kenner and Ivo Dominguez and Christopher Penzak and Laurie and Penny Cabot and other great people. These are people I know. She picked them to do similarly to what I did for DC. And so it's a great book for reading and learning what magical things are available wherever you are or wherever you're traveling to, post-COVID. But I'm going to read my meditation for the city and preface it with that, you know, if you have a map or if you don't have a map of the city, we'll be putting up various versions of it. But I want you to be looking at a map of the city as we do this and visualizing the city as a living and breathing entity on its own. So I want you to view a map of Washington, D.C., and I want you to notice the diamond shape formed when Arlington and Alexandria, Virginia are included. I think the next slide will be better for that. Thank you. Stay here a while. Notice as well that the shape of the two rivers and how their juncture sits just below the center. And the area just north of the center, almost coinciding with the juncture and stretching northward, is Rock Creek Park. And I think this illustration is really good for showing that. And so we have the diamond, we have the two rivers, and we have Rock Creek Park. And Rock Creek Park, with this creek emptying into the Potomac, is sort of like the smaller version of what the two larger rivers do. In this meditation, we will envision the two rivers and the creek acting as a circulating system to expel waste products, while the great park, along with all the green areas of the city, act as lungs for the city. You will visualize the city breathing and simultaneously dispelling toxic waste. Now, when we say toxic waste, I want you to think of the miasma of the last 4 years, of all the things that have been brought into this place and uncovered in this place that need to go. You know, think of all the corruption, the lack of humanity, the lack of foresight, the view of that is all about self-interest and what you can take and what you can get away with. Notice also the things of hypocrisy and outright lies, prejudice, hatred, and a great deal of narcissism. And so what I want you to think of is all of that as the corruptive and toxic, and think of it as the miasma. It's like a gooey substance that just inhibits growth, inhibits hope, inhibits good, solid planning, inhibits an understanding of consequences, inhibits long-term thinking, and silences those folks who actually know what is happening and can take steps to undo this mess. And so let's try to imagine all of that as being the toxicity that we want to release from this great city. So wherever you are, find a comfortable place where you can sit and view one of these maps that we put up. And I want you to take deep breaths. Deep breaths. That deep breaths help you get back into your body and into the here and now. And it helps you to step away from the anxiety for just a little bit. It helps to calm down your sympathetic nervous system. Deep breaths. And now, while we're focusing on our breaths, I want us to notice the patterns of our breath. Noticing whether your in breath or your out breath is a little bit longer than the other. Notice the quality of your breath. Notice the texture. Is there smoothness or is there sort of a staccato breath? Is it cool or warm? Notice the unique pattern of your breathing without judgment, without changing anything. And as you breathe and notice these patterns, notice if there's a pause between breathing in and breathing out. It could be small, large, or hardly noticeable at all. And then consider what your own unique fourfold pattern of breathing is. Breathing in, pause, and breathing out, pause. Breathing in, pause, and breathing out, pause. And maybe not on this breath, or maybe not on the next one, but on one of them coming up, I want you to slip through during one of those pauses. Slip through from here to there. Slip through to the place behind your eyes. Slip through from here to there. Next 2 slides, please. And in this place, I want you to see yourself hovering above the city of Washington. So close you can hear the traffic sounds, the clatter of feet, and the voice of the city. You can hear the wind blowing through the treetops. You can hear the wind chimes from the porches. Maybe you can smell the herbs that are planted in the city gardens. Maybe you can hear the laughter of the children who are playing with each other in their own yards since they can't play with the other children. Listen to the voice of the city. And as you float above the city, allow yourself to lift up just enough so you can see the diamond clearly, along with the 2 rivers of the northern pointing Rock Creek Park. High enough up that you can see the boundaries, see the rivers, see the park. And I want you to just be there for a while. Just hang out above the city. And notice that the city is breathing. Notice how the trees move, how the park inhales and exhales. Notice the trees that have canopies across the middle of streets in the city, how they too breathe in and breathe out. Notice the lawns and the wooded areas that appear almost out of every little nook and cranny of the city. Notice they too breathe in and breathe out. And notice that when the park exhales, it goes to the rest of the city. And when the park inhales, it pulls a lot of the toxins from the city. And every time it exhales, it sends energy and clean air. And as it inhales, it pulls the corruption, the miasma away from the city. And watch as the air from the park to the city makes the city start to it cleaner, and how the toxins in the city get pulled to the park and flushed down into the waterways. And notice the waterways collecting what the park has collected. It starts moving it away from the city via the Potomac, via the Anacostia, via the creek, Rock Creek, and all the smaller streams and creeks that are all over the city, many of them underground, picking up all that morass and taking it into its waters and taking it along that long route down the Potomac River toward the Chesapeake Bay and then out to the Atlantic. And as you watch this process, the city breathing and exhaling, gathering and moving away, breathe with the city. See the city getting healthier, see the city getting lighter, watch it become brighter and brighter as all the entanglements and the ethical decay and the political morass just get carried away. All the lack of humanity, all the I'll take care of myself at the expense of all the others, all of that gets carried away by the rivers. And as you watch it become brighter and brighter and healthier and healthier, we can see it start to evolve into that bright promise of this country's founding mothers and fathers. Breathing in and breathing out, you help the city use its natural processes. What had been the process for cleansing this crossroads for over a millennium. You contribute to the natural process of the trees and the parks and the soil and the plants, helping us to let go of what no longer serves us and how it breathes in what we can't use and cycles it back out, uses it to feed itself and to let go of toxins into the natural cleansing of the waterways. And as you breathe in and out with the city, you become brighter and healthier too, in all the ways that matter, so you can become more resilient, less afraid, more hopeful, and less nervous, filled with an expectation and less anxiety. Breathing in and breathing out with the city helps us all. Bless the city. Wish it well. And as you breathe, I want you to come again to notice the pattern of your own breath. Notice the breathing in and the breathing out. And then notice the pauses. Breathing in, pause. Breathing out, pause. And maybe not on this pause or the next pause, but on someone coming up I want you to take a pause and slip through from there to here, back into your body, back into your home, back into your seat, back into the here and now. Yes, Adam, expand me out, please. Back into your body, back into the here and now, back into your place of residence. Ah. And know that you're doing the work of helping us prepare for an outcome that is what we hope it will be. You are helping all of us to prepare this capital city to be to be filled with hopefulness and expectation. When you do this breathing with the city, you too become stronger and healthier. Let us bless this city in our work of political magic, in our work of honoring the land, in our work of healing our communities. Thank you. Thank you for joining me tonight. And I don't know how many people are here, and that's okay. We started a little late, but I still like to hear if anyone wants to ask questions or make a statement. I'll read it out loud. Now, I know there's a delay, so I'm just going to talk a little bit. The city of Washington was designed as a diamond, but it was blessed by the Masons and it was blessed by the pagans. So the city has been thrice blessed. Oh, hi, Annika. Hi. Thank you. Oh, Nancy, you're right. Power and greed always corrupts. You're right. Oh. We often forget that the places we live in require us to care for it. Harper, so mote that shit. Yeah, thank you, darling. Thank you all. You're very welcome. You're very welcome. Hey, Jill. Yeah. Blessing the land you live on, blessing where you live, blessing the places that have a historical and political part in this country's future is very important. Ah, yeah, they're talking. The Southern Marker was also where they made offerings of corn, wine, and honey when it was first installed. Yeah, when we went around to each of the cardinal points, what we discovered was that the Daughters of the American Revolution, the DAR, had put protection around each of the larger markers, ones at the major points. And that when we put our hands through the protective fences, they were pretty sturdy fences, I'll tell you. You put your hands in there, you could actually feel some of the old magic was still there. So that we added to that magic and then we connected them together so that we could still get access to it. It's an incredible thing to find that a city like ours has standing stones. So it's a wonderful, delightful find. And everyone who discovers them think they're the first. When we discovered them in '99, we found that the National Capital Park folks had already done an inventory of all the stones. And then we found out that in the 1920s that the DAR had already gone around and done the same thing. So that apparently lots of us on occasions just rediscover the stones. So there are standing stones. They've stood since the 1790s, almost since the beginning of this country's history. So they're very much a part of the historical narrative for the city and the country, for that matter. You're very welcome. You're very welcome. Oh, I hope all of you are figuring out, how to do your political magic, to do work against voter suppression, voter intimidation, um, getting as many votes in ahead of time, especially in those places where they count them as they come in. And I'll show my little thing. I already voted. So thank you. I really appreciate you guys coming forward to participate in this blessing. Thank you, Nancy. Well, that's it for today. Uh, I'll go back to my rants and sometime in November, depending on the state of the world. I told someone that I mentioned in one of my messages something about put on your big girl panties and get out there, and that all anyone remembered was I said big girl panties. So I'll get back to my crazy messaging once we get through this election. So, but for now, we're sending magic to the whole city. So I big BGP, big girl pet. Thank you. I love it. I love it. Oh, all right. I think that's it for now. Let me look over here. Yeah, go ahead and run the credits. I'm done. Bye bye.